Okay, it's time for another fun 10-minute writing session. We've been developing this one piece for the last couple of days. We've done two 10-minute writing sessions so far to end up with what we've got here. And I think it's going pretty well. But today I want to focus on just polishing up what we already have and see how much progress we can make in 10 minutes. So previously I had a couple limitations. The first time I sat down to write, I said, well, let's only write with half notes. So you've got a lot of stuff over here that's just half notes. Then the next time I said, all right, well, let's write using this melody here and nothing but that melody and just different versions and lengths of that melody to write all the other stuff. And this time, my limitation is I'm not going to add any music past this bar. I'm just going to try to improve what's here. And of course, as usual, I also have the limitation of doing this within 10 minutes. The limitations really give me a nice creative space and keep me from second guessing myself too much in the early stages of the writing process. So now let's get the timer rolling. So it's 5:11 p.m. right now. So I'm going to stop at 5:21. And my main goal is just going to be to listen to this and improve it in any way I can think of. So let's listen. Alright, so the first thing I heard that I didn't really like was this transition from the first four bars to where this melody comes in. So the reason I didn't like it was because I felt like these first four bars kind of set you up to a certain feeling, and then that feeling is destroyed when the melody comes in. So I'm going to see what happens if I actually delete, maybe I shouldn't delete this, but rather paste what's going on here and see how it sounds if I put what I want to do is I want to continue some of what was happening here while this melody comes in. So maybe I'll keep this going, but I'll have these F's continuing on top. So I'm going to keep this D, E, F here, but I'm going to have these F's continuing as half notes. So I'm going to tie the top one over and make a half note, make a quarter note there, which makes this into a half note tie. And then we're going to have another half note tie here. This is going to be like this. And that's going to tie over to this octave. And that might be really good. That might help carry this feeling over into this measure a bit. And the violin, let me think if this interval is going to be easy to play. Well, the D will be easy to play with the C because, as I mentioned earlier, the open strings of a violin are G, D, A, E. So this open D string is fine for this C, but I'm not sure if this will be too easy. I'm sure it can be done, but I don't want to take any chances really. So I'm going to transpose this down an octave. Maybe that'll be good. And so let's listen to that measure. See how that transition goes from 4 to 5. Okay, seems to be working a little more smoothly. The right hand cutting out is kind of abrupt, so maybe I'll just have for this this first note, I will put a D to sustain there. Let's see what happens if I sustain this D. Okay, now the next thing I have issue with is the dynamics. I feel like this intro is good loud, but then everything should be a little quieter than this violin part here. So I'm going to set some dynamics. I'm going to say, all right, measure 1, we're going to have everyone in forte, and like so. So everyone's forte here, but then when we get here, we're going to have Mr. Banjo get all quiet. And we're going to tell the violin to really shut his mouth or her mouth because, oh my gosh, it was just too loud. And this should let the piano come out a little more because the piano is still marked as forte. Maybe I'll make this mezzo forte. So everything's dropping a bit, but I could even set it as mezzo piano, but I kind of want it to be strong, so I'll say mezzo forte. Okay, so that should improve it. Now the next thing I want to do is keep the rhythmic feel happening here, so I'm going to want to turn this into a bunch of quarter notes just to keep the pulsing going. This might be crap, but I'm in a hurry, as usual. Alright, so let's see where we're at now. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, I think that what we should do is just continue this whole line and see what happens if I do that. If I just continue with this line from the first 4 bars in the violin. Okay, it's cool, except that now it's too loud because the forte copied over, and I'm going to also change some things up with the range here. So I'm going to make this super piano, PP, ultra P, and I'm going to put this down an octave because it's just standing out too much. It's actually, yeah, 1 octave, because it's getting in the way of this melody here a little bit. In fact, putting it down 2 octaves might be a good idea, but I don't know yet. Okay. And then I'm going to put this down an octave. That's cool. Alright. So things are starting to get a little smoother in terms of transitioning from first 4 bars. Cool. Now last time I remember thinking, oh, it'd be nice if there was a 16th note run here to go up. And yeah, so right now it's jumping from these quarter notes, and then it suddenly jumps up really high in the banjo. It's low and then suddenly high, and that can be physically hard to play, and also it just kind of sounds a little too abrupt. So I'm going to make a set of 8/16ths that lead up nicely to this high note. Ba-da-na-na. Yeah, I could imagine that being pretty playable on guitar. I don't really know the range of the banjo still. I haven't looked it up yet, but we could always change this to a guitar part if it's not going to work as a banjo. All right. Yeah, that's getting better. Now I want this G here to swell. So a swelling sound will be great for transitioning to the now louder dynamic that we have here. So I've got this little Pac-Man if you were squished thing to get louder. Crescendo thingy. Alright, so crescendoing into here, and now I want to set the dynamics for this section. Definitely want the high stuff to be quiet because it's just so harsh otherwise, but I'm going to set it as mezzo piano, and everything else I'm going to set as forte. And oh, I just got another idea for how I can make this section stronger. We're going to double the piano notes that we have here in octaves. So doing that will make it so that the whole texture fills out more. And we want a really big, full texture here is what I'm feeling. So octaves all around. Totally playable. Big leaps for a piano player, and it's not going to be like the most comfortable thing in the world, but it is totally doable, and I am going to make the piano player learn it. Alright, so let's hear that transition again. That's pretty excellent. Right here I want stronger hits on the bing bong, bing bong. So I'm going to do octaves again, and I'm going to actually have this be 2 quarter notes on this low E here. to emphasize the rhythm, and I'm going to do the same for this la 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 here. Okay. There are more efficient ways to use Finale than the way I do with all the clicking, but Finale is the notation program, and I just click on the notes, but you can play them in with a MIDI controller. There's lots of ways to write faster than I'm writing, but this is what I'm comfortable with. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm really satisfied with that, and I've got a minute to spare, so let's just listen to the whole thing. Okay, so to me that sounds a lot better now. So to summarize, what I did essentially was I made it so that as sections go from one section to another, the transition is a little smoother. So it doesn't sound like I just cut and paste a new section in, or change the channel on the TV or on the radio and suddenly you have a different section. Instead, I tried to make it so that some elements from one section carry into the next. So as a basic theme, you can take a little bit of the juice from one section and put it in the next section to make a smoother transition. And right here, I used these 16th note runs to create, and the swell, to create a nice kind of flow into the next section, which was much needed because the next section has so much energy right here with all the 16th notes really up high. So in general, creating smooth transitions is a great way to make your piece sound better. And also, if you're going to have a section be loud and you want it to be really strong, make sure that you're still emphasizing the melody and that it's not getting lost, and that you're still emphasizing the parts that need the most focus. So I doubled the piano stuff with octaves like that, like I have here, because I really want the piano to come through, and having octaves will come through better than just playing one note. It just fills it out more. And I also made the banjo kind of quiet so that it wouldn't interfere with the piano, which is still my main focus. Even though we're all loud, we're not just bashing and smashing quite yet. We're not at that dynamic, not this early in the piece at least. So yeah, I hope that this was interesting, and yeah, this is really fun for me. So I'm glad I'm hearing some comments. Some people are enjoying it, and this is for you folks. For those of you who enjoy it, I'm glad you enjoy it. And for those who don't enjoy it, I'm sorry that I'm doing this over and over again, but it would suck for the people who enjoy it if I just stopped. But anyway, I just talk too much. Have a great weekend and be well.